What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the NCSL Dynasty here on NCAA 14, and also featuring that college football revamped as well. Wow, we're really struggling with words today. But what we won't struggle with is having a lack of matchups, because oh baby, do we have some good matchups around the NCSL. Not only do we have multiple top 25 matchups coming your way over the next hour, but in addition to that, we got some intriguing matchups around the country that don't even involve top 25 teams that could have a pivotal role in conference championship races, and therefore could also have a pivotal role in who makes it to the college football playoff at the end of the season. So it's going to be a fun episode. I'm really excited for it, and I hope you guys are extremely excited for it as well. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button as well if you happen to be brand new to the channel. And let's not waste any more time. Let's go to the football fields around the country to get some riveting action in. Let's get it. So let's go ahead and get week number 10 officially underway, and we will go and get this party started with the Holy War between BYU and Utah, as we jump in here into the second quarter of action. Utah, undefeated coming into this battle in the Holy War, but BYU trying to keep up in that Mountain Division implications. So big game, obviously, not just from a rivalry standpoint, but also from a conference championship standpoint as well. Thoroughly is considered a must-win for sure, but it looks like a must-win that BYU is handling pretty well, honestly. BYU does have a 17-9 lead as we get into this second half a little bit more, as the Utah offense just really struggles to convert those red zone opportunities today. It's really settling for field goals instead of touchdowns in this one, and that could be the ultimate dagger right there, given how much Utah has struggled in the red zone, as well as BYU tagging on that field goal right there. So we're actually going to start out with a big upset. BYU is going to take down Utah, as the Utes suffered their first loss of the season. So we'll see if we have some other chaos that happens in college football, as we do have several games going off at the exact same time. We're also going to take a look notably at Ohio State and Ohio. That has some Big Ten Buckeye Division implications. But before we even worry about all of that, we have this battle of Hotlanta being in Georgia Tech, taking on the Georgia State Panthers. Both teams who are actually trying their best to keep their bowl hopes alive. Georgia State in particularly, they must win this game. They cannot lose this if they want to have any chance to go to a bowl game. Another loss would dash those hopes, while if Georgia Tech loses, well, the road to get to a bowl game becomes that much harder. So an important game for both teams here, like we saw in the Holy War previously. And it seems like early on Georgia Tech is going into Georgia State Stadium and handling its business. Certainly standing on that business as well. But with less than 2 minutes left to go in the first half, Georgia State has a chance to take the lead as their quarterback, Michael McIntosh, he's going to take a big shot here, but will get to outside the 40-yard line, trying to put together a decent drive. As McIntosh has all day to throw, looks over to the right-hand side and finds Keon Rodriguez for the first down. Saw him a little bit late, but hey, he's able to get his guys to midfield. You'll love to see it. McIntosh fires over the middle and finds Dwight Hill for another big throw for a gain of 17. And they're now just outside of the red zone. I just burped that sexy. But what's not sexy is this fumble. It's going to be recovered by Georgia Tech. And so that will help the Yellow Jackets preserve their lead. They will be up 13-7 at the half. However, Georgia State starts with the football to begin the second half of action, as now we'll see Georgia State go to work in the red zone. Beautiful throw on the run, by the way, to Dave Cox. He was feeling cocky about that throw, and it works out to perfection. So for a time being, Georgia State will actually have the lead, but it will not last long as Georgia Tech gets a field goal. Now, jumping into the fourth quarter of action, Michael McIntosh has a chance to give Georgia State the lead. They're going to set up the screen for Keon Rodriguez, who finds the end zone. Touchdown, Panthers. And they'll even go for the 2-point conversion as well, one that will also be converted on top of that. So Georgia State has a real opportunity to win a critical game to keep their bowl hopes alive. And this will be a sheer disappointment for Georgia Tech. In a year where just last year we saw them win 10 games, being on the verge of 3-5 certainly is not it. But this Yellow Jackets team is going to continue fighting, as they do end up finding the end zone. With the extra point, it cuts down to 2. However, Georgia State, all they gotta do is run out the rest of his clock, and McIntosh puts the ball on the ground. Just an absolute folding in the moment, as Georgia Tech is able to hit this field goal. Less than 90 seconds left, and the Yellow Jackets will go on and win 26-25. Just a tough way to lose a heartbreaker in Atlanta. Now, with that being said, we'll keep it down south for a moment, where Boston College makes the travel down south to take on Virginia Tech. And I don't know how this is possible, but Virginia Tech 7-1 on this season, and yet they are still not ranked. Where is their love? Where is their respect? It's absolutely wild to me. So if Virginia Tech wins this game, I'm sure they will get ranked eventually. Like, at some point, you gotta include these boys in your top 25. Like, it's downright ridiculous, as Virginia Tech looks to finish that first half strong. Alvarez has some time. He's looking to step up in the pocket, throws, and it's thrown into double coverage. That gives me a little bit of the ick right there. So now Boston College will take over with less than 2 minutes left to play in this first half. Boston College looking to tie, finds a man downfield, and it's Willie Stewart, who goes out of bounds, but not before walloping a defender. And now Boston College has got them keys out, because, baby, they are setting up a drive right about now on a campaign to try and tie this game up. 1st and 10 from about the 45-yard line. Dropping back, looks over the middle, finds a receiver, and it's another first down for the Boston College Eagles, starting to build momentum. Can they capitalize on the moment? Another throw coming. 1st and 10, firing, gets inside the 20, inside the 15, and down at the 13-yard line, finding Thomas McCullough. And they still have a timeout to use. One that I don't know if it's going to be necessary, because Ricky Cunningham finds the end zone. Touchdown, Eagles. And they are now soaring in Blacksburg as they tie things up against a team that should be ranked in the top 25. However, less than 45 seconds left to play in the first half. Virginia Tech gets another crack at it. We'll see if they can do a little bit better this time around. Facing a 3rd and long. Alvarez looks over the middle. It's intercepted again. Picked off, and Boston College will take over at about midfield. And the Eagles have a chance to take the lead before we go into the half. Cunningham with time, fires, and it's picked off. Safety comes down at the very last second. And so we will be tied at the half, but it's sure been more exciting than maybe what we anticipated here thus far. So we now jump into the second half of action, and the turnovers, oh baby, the turnovers continue to be a problem. That is the 5th turnover that Virginia Tech has had, and yet they're still only down by a field goal. This is just sickos committee worthy stuff going on between Boston College and Virginia Tech right now, as we're now in that final corner of action. Who wants to win it more, or who wants to give a game away just a little bit less? It feels like that, just a little bit more of an actually trying to win the damn thing. 4.5 minutes left to play in the ball game, though. Alvarez with some time finds a Virginia Tech receiver, not a Boston College one, and it's a goal line situation. We're going to try to put this game away with 4 minutes left to play in the ball game. Alvarez looking, has some time, takes some pressure up the middle, and he's going to be dropped on the ground. And Courtney Goodman gets to him. His first sack of the day comes at a critical moment. So now, 3rd and goal from the 10-yard line. Alvarez looks over the middle and he finds an open Marcus Bell in the end zone. Touchdown, Hokies. And Virginia Tech will pull away late in the ball game, and they will win 31-17, being your final score. So with that being said, we now keep it in the Carolinas, as North Carolina going on the road to take on NC State. Both these teams trying to prove that they can compete in this Commonwealth division, as that is a nice throw and catch, but put the ball on the ground. You can't do that, big guy. You simply can't do that. And so NC State is able to capitalize with a field goal. And speaking of field goals, their kicker was plenty busy in this one, able to get 2 field goals in the first half. Maybe we'll see a 3rd one depending on how this particular drive goes, as one story of note, North Carolina, one of the more explosive offenses in the country. Not the most explosive, but it's up there. Shutout in this first half. You hate to see it, as we'll see if we see a big-time throw down the left-hand side, and it is! Ken Grant finds the end zone. Touchdown for the Wolfpack, and Blake Fountain, well, he is letting it rain right now. He's having a big-time performance in the first half, even though the rest of his team might be struggling through things, because even with Blake Fountain's performance, his team is still going to be down going into the 4th quarter. So they need Blake Fountain to produce, and that is a dot. That is an absolute dot to Ryan Foster. It ties the game for NC State. However, it seems like the Wolfpack, it might be running out of juice, as towards the end, North Carolina, they control the game, and they will control the clock here in this final moments of this ball game. And so in spite of Blake Fountain's performance, NC State is going to drop yet another game. So now we head out to the Midwest, where Missouri is going to be hosting Iowa State. This is an important game for bowl implication as well. And not only that, this is also the Battle of the Telephone Trophy to go with it too. So, big matchup between these two particular squads for both pride and for bowl eligibility possibly being on the line. Every game matters when you're sitting at 500 or just below 500 as well. Iowa State does not realize that, as they're down by 11. Still no offensive touchdowns to its name, but we might be getting one here in this 3rd quarter of action. We'll see if they go back to Gerard Bush, who's been effective on the drive. No, instead, it's the custom at quarterback, Christian Bell, who fires over the middle and finds Jamie Hoffman for the touchdown. And Iowa State will claw back into the game, getting it down so much as 4 points. That is all that separates these two teams for the Battle of the Telephone Trophy. But Missouri wants to finish strong, and it looks like they might be designed to do just that. Missouri, well, you know, they know a thing or two about turning these games into rock fights, using that triple option offense to wear down the opposing defense. And finally, the damn burst. Missouri will pull away late, and Missouri will get to 5-4, while Iowa State does not have much room for error at this point in the year, dropping to 3-5 on the season. But now, the moment you've been waiting for these early afternoon ball games. Ohio State, the number 17 team in the land, taking on an unranked Ohio, but they are receiving votes in the top 25 right now. So not only could Ohio prove that, yes, we are indeed a top 25 team, but also what we could do in addition is winner of this game controls the Buckeye division. So big one here in Columbus, one that Ohio State looks to control early. It's been a little bit of a disappointment for the Buckeyes, but they will race out to a 14-0 lead. Later on in the 2nd quarter of action, they're going to hand it off to the Sherman tank, and you see the power in Sherman's running. Except it's not Sherman, it's Mark Baker that scores. And so Ohio State will be up 21-0. Then they'll use Sherman as a decoy for Brooks Hicks to get into the end zone too. So honestly, on this one, I did a little bit of super simming because it did look like a bloodbath. But give credit to Ohio. They never quit. They get it down to a couple of scores. but it just won't be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough, even with Ohio State somehow missing that extra point. Completely wild stuff in terms of kickers just missing extra points. Just completely crazy what we got going on. And so, goal line opportunity, gonna hand it off up the middle, and it's gonna be fumbled. But Cody Dorsey, I think one of the offense, no, it's the quarterback. He lands on the fumble, so Ohio pulls within 13. However, that is as close as they're gonna get. So we get some more studio updates while we had those early afternoon games going, and some interesting developments happening. Florida Atlantic able to beat USF 31-17. So the Owls will now officially be 1 win away from being bowl eligible. But this one was a shocker. Number 14 Illinois is going to fall to the Thundering Herd. I'm gonna pause for effect. This is a shocker. This is absolutely a shocker. Marshall playing for nothing more than pride at this point. We just saw them recently get whopped by West Virginia, and now they beat Illinois. Completely crazy stuff. So now we get to the 1 p.m. Eastern kickoffs, and the only game of note in the 1 p.m. time slot is Fresno State going on the road to take on the number 1 team in college football right now, and that is the USC Trojans. This is, of course, a time in which USC actually realized that, yes, we can actually spell defense after all. But for early on the first quarter, opening drive for the Trojans, even though they're a little bit better defensively, that doesn't mean they can't find that end zone either. Matt Sullivan is going to score yet again, and call him a Baker because at his 12th touchdown this season, he's got a dozen. We'll see if he can get the Baker dozen as no, it's going to be a fake handoff for Victor Spence, who will keep it on the read option. He'll score for USC, and USC will race out to a 14-6 lead, and the legs are after in this one. They are certainly active. USC bringing the track shoes, and I think Fresno State might be a little bit stuck in the mud given how they performed in this first half, being down so much as 24-6 in that first half of action. And I don't think it's going to get too much better here either. Handoff to the right-hand side, looking over to the tailback, who's going to spin away from a defender, and Matt Sullivan finds another first down, and it sets up a goal line situation. We'll see if they go to him, and again, down by the goal line. No, it's going to be Victor Spence, thinking about passing it first, but then just using those legs once again, and USC will score again, which means the Trojans will win again. They beat Fresno State 45-20, and Fresno State is one loss away from losing bowl eligibility. But a lot more games happening throughout the country. Got some rivalry games happening here too. Notre Dame and Navy. These two teams always like to meet up, so I'm sure we're going to be in for a good time. But this is not your daddy's or your granddaddy's Navy football team now, is it? Because there's something unique about this Navy squad. They don't treat the pass play like a trick play, right? And it shows in the execution. They are comfortable with this offense at this point. Spencer Grant is going to throw a dot over the middle, and he will find Mike Allen, who will set the single season record for most touchdown grabs in a season. He could be the first Navy receiver ever with 10 touchdown grabs. So just something to watch as we continue to watch this game, as we'll see if Mike Allen gets the ball in the end zone one more time so that he can have the first time in Navy football history, illustrious Navy football history, might I add, that we will see Navy find its way into the record books, as Navy will score yet again, making it 14-0. Notre Dame, on the other hand, you thought that they were finished, though, and they actually might be. Notre Dame is really not looking good in this ball game. Really makes me surprised to see them beat Northern Illinois, because it's just been a disappointing season for the Fighting Irish. They have not played up to their expectations at all. It just hasn't happened. But even though they haven't played up to those expectations, don't mean that they're going to quit playing hard by any means. Notre Dame does get a red zone opportunity, and if they do get it, it's going to be just a one-score game. So a lot to play here for Notre Dame. even though things haven't been so great for him. Second and goal is going to be a goal line opportunity for Greg Hunt, who wants to run it into the end zone and will be successful. Touchdown Irish, and the Fighting Irish are just slowly chipping away at that early strong start by the midshipmen. Now playing their style of football, Notre Dame is only down by 1. But Spencer Grant, he's going to throw this ball over to the left-hand side. Oh, I thought that was a touchdown, but that was a beautiful throw too. Oh my goodness. Just an absolute dime. It leads to a Jacob Hodge touchdown as well. So Navy does get a little bit more comfort, but still doesn't change the fact that Notre Dame can tie it if they can punch it in here, which they do. So a 2-point conversion away, and we're talking about a tied ball game here in Annapolis, Maryland. Greg Hunt under shotgun, looks over to the right hand side and throws a dot to Justin McBride. And yes, we will have a tied ball game at 21 apiece. 21 apiece being your score as Notre Dame gets the ball one more time with a chance to win it here in regulation. Couple plays later, Greg Hunt in the shotgun, got some time, throws to the left-hand side, and it's going to be intercepted. Picked off, and Daryl Nichols will provide the third interception of the game for the defense. And Nichols also has the career record for most interceptions in a career. That's his 14th. So, that being said, we will have overtime after all, and Notre Dame has to settle for a field goal to start the first overtime. So, if Navy can punch it into the end zone here, it's going to be barbecue chicken. Here we go. Grant looking over the middle and finds Mike Allen again. Big time catch that sets up a goal line opportunity where a couple of plays later, Spencer Grant finds his guy and it is over. Navy will come out on top and take down the Fighting Irish in an overtime thriller that won't be forgotten soon. Meanwhile, we'll go down to sunny California, where Stanford is only 4-5, but they have been hot as of late. They are riding in on a 3-game winning streak, but now they'll take on your defending national champions in the Bruins of UCLA. We'll see if Stanford can pull another big-time upset in its arsenal, but UCLA is having absolutely none of it. Already up 9-3 as they look to take control of the game early. Going to the FCS transfer, Walker McAfee, who finds good running onto the outside and picks up a gain of 7. So it sets up a second and short for UCLA, and they go back to Walter McAfee, who finds the end zone. Touchdown Bruins. And so UCLA with a 16-3 lead, but right before we go into halftime, Stanford is going to cut it down to just 6 points. So, a game that could legitimately go in either direction, and we'll see who wants it more. One thing to note for UCLA, we have seen a change at quarterback since the last time we've seen them. Kenji Kobayashi, he has taken over as the starting quarterback, the true freshman, getting his fair share of opportunities as well. And so UCLA with a 23-10 lead, looking to drop back. He's got some time and it's going to be brought down. Kenji Kobayashi just not watching where he is and gets brought down by Chase Bell. His third sack of the game, a bright spot for what has been a struggle for Stanford. Kamiyachi almost gets sacked yet again, but will find his man in the corner of the end zone. It's a touchdown for the Bruins, and it looks like the Bruins are going to secure this one. But they'll look to try to make the score a little bit easier on the eyes, as Justin Gardner will have his second rushing touchdown of the day. But it won't be enough, as UCLA will come out on top, 30-17 being your final score. That being said, we have a showdown in Texas between the Texas Longhorns and Texas A&M, where the Aggies are looking for that signature win here in year number 4, as Chase Nichols will get the scoring started with finding the end zone. And after one quarter of action, Texas they might be officially on upset alert now. Down 7-3 after 1 quarter of action. As Mike Harrell, he is a certified bad man, leading his team down the field for yet another possession. As Texas A&M looks to score yet again. Harrell in the shotgun. This time it's going to be a quarterback run. Runs through a defender. Runs through a second one. And wills his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Texas A&M. And the Aggies are going to take a 14-3 lead, where they will hand it off to their tailback, and Texas will respond in kind. 1 minute left to play here in the first half, as Harrell will throw it out over to the right-hand side. He'll find Maurice Daniels, who is also going to get out of bounds as well. Able to save those 2 timeouts. 2 timeouts that I'm sure is going to come in handy later on in this possession. As speaking of which, we do see the Aggies use one of those timeouts. And so they only have 1 remaining, and yet here they are running the ball on the ground. Bold strategy for Cotton, but it works out for him though, as a 3rd and goal will set up. Clayton Sharp in the end zone. The FCS transfer extends the lead for the Aggies. And so in that second half, Texas A&M looks to blow this thing wide open. It looks like Texas A&M, they might will their way to victory. It was actually at some point we actually did a super sim. I thought Texas was cooked, but it turns out Texas was actually the cooker instead, because Texas is now only down by 5. They were down as much as 30 points in the 4th quarter, and Texas is looking to pull off one of the biggest comebacks of the season. Can they pull it off on this particular drive right here, right now? 3rd and inches coming up as Hawthorne drops back, drives pressure, and Adams gets dropped. Adams gets dropped by Cody Salas, who has his 2nd sack of the day. And now it's going to be 4th down. Clock is ticking, but if they don't get these 8 yards, it won't matter. Dropping back, Adams fires, caught! He has a man deep downfield. It's Mark Kelly. 1st down, Longhorns. And Mark Kelly is him today, coming for nearly 250. Pause. And now 3rd and goal, and it's going to be caught by Omar Jackson for the 1st down. Now it comes down to just a few plays left in the game. Texas A&M needs a goal line stand. Adams will not have it though, as Mark Kelly finds the end zone. Touchdown, Texas. They were down by 30 plus, you guys. And here we are. Texas now has the lead, and they're even going to go for it here on the 2-point conversion. Adams dropping back the pass, looking over the middle, and it's going to be caught by Tenard Harris. 2-point conversion is good, and now it comes down to this. Can they be willed to victory? No! They will not be willed to victory. And Texas A&M, selling of the century. Texas wins 52-49 as they outscore the Aggies 35-7 in the 4th and final quarter. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that just witnessed right in front of my eyes. But now we head up to Michigan, the state that's shaped like a glove, as Michigan will take on their hated rivals in the Spartans of Michigan State, who desperately need this win to maximize their chances of going to a bowl game. Michigan on the other hand, they have much bigger aspirations, as they're going to be up 27-14 at the half. They're trying to remain undefeated on the season. However, Michigan State has other plans, as starting in the second half, seems like there's a spark that changes. John Murray's going to find the end zone for the Spartans, and that will make it just a 6-point game. And it remains close for much of the second half. A game that could go in either direction, as we have a tie ball game at 35 apiece, while Chris Spence sets up the single game passing record for most passing yards in a game. First one to 475 yards, and he could reach 500 before we know it. Spence going to get closer to that 500 mark as he finds Justin Edwards for the first down. He's had a massive day today. A big reason for Michigan State's success, but it will be the tailback and Gavin Ricks who gives the Spartans the lead with 6.5 left to play in the final quarter of action. However, 3.5 left to go. Michigan will respond back with a touchdown of their own. And after Michigan State ends up going 3 and out, the Wolverines, they attempt a 50-yard field goal, who ends up being tried. And it ends up being true as well. Hits it right down the middle. And that will do it. Michigan will just barely survive against the Spartans. 45-42 in this one. That being said, we have some more games coming your way. Namely, we finally get a chance to check in on Arkansas. I haven't had a lot of love for Arkansas this season, but sadly, the Razorbacks, they're number 21 in the country right now, and they are taking on the Auburn Tigers in Sun Belt Conference action. Arkansas has a real opportunity to at least make it very hard to lose out on the Bayou Divisional title. This game is very important. Auburn just trying to play a little bit of spoiler when it comes to that scenario, and Dante Nichols is going to help with that. He's had a nice first quarter, 3 catches for 50 yards, but it will be the custom Ricky Bobby Jr. Ricky Bobby Jr. is going to find the end zone, and that will be a 14-0 lead early. So Arkansas down 14-0, as not only they want to maximize their chances of winning a Bayou Divisional title, but also they're just trying their best to remain in this top 25. A loss would likely eliminate them, especially if this loss happens to be to this Auburn team, right? So Auburn is up by his touchdown even with that recent score, but Isaac Jacobs has a chance to score, and he had a man open. He legitimately had a man wide butt naked open, just didn't get enough air under that ball, and so Auburn will take over, a chance to solidify their first half. Looking over to the left hand side, that is how you throw a dot to the corner, and it's going to be caught for a touchdown. Kyle Berry is going to take it 62 yards, and Auburn will have a 2-score lead going into the halftime locker room. However, Auburn will end up missing the extra points, so hopefully that doesn't kill them too terribly much as we get into the second half of action. Arkansas starts with the ball, and Isaac Jacobs starts with a good possession. He's going to lead his guys down the field, and he'll take it in himself for yet another rushing touchdown. Arkansas gets back into the game, and they'll only be down by just a few points, but Auburn wants to put it away themselves, and that couldn't do it. Kyle Berry is going to score in the back of the end zone. Brian Nichols, man, he's absolutely feeling himself right now. 3 touchdown passes in this ball game. So, fourth quarter coming your way as Arkansas is looking to bounce back. But first, they got to keep Auburn out of the end zone, and Ricky Bobby Jr., he is running angry right now. Ricky Bobby Jr. already has 1 rushing touchdown. The stats are not eye-popping, but he makes the critical plays. He's just a classic lunch pail guy coming in and doing that hard blue-collar work. We'll see if they award the blue-collar running back, as he's actually not on the field at the moment. Instead, his backup Amir Bailey comes in for the goal line opportunity and cashes it in. So Auburn takes a bigger lead. And now Arkansas is running out of chances. Down by 7, looking over the middle. He's going to find a receiver who is all by himself, and he's gone. Brent Davis runs away from the entire Auburn secondary, and a miracle happens here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Razorbacks, as long as they make the extra points, they will tie this game up. And so, not only do they tie this game up, they have a chance to win the whole thing. Jacobs is going to launch this downfield, and he had a guy open, but just didn't have the arm to do it. So even though the Razorbacks, they turned the ball over 5 separate times today, they will have a chance to win, at least in overtime. And that win is going to become more probable, as all they need is a field goal, and it's going to be barbecue chicken. The kick will be up shortly. We'll see if he has the audacity to kick it through, and he does. Field goal attempt is good, and Arkansas will survive. Arkansas wins 39-36. And so Arkansas will still remain in the top 25. So we do have another studio update coming our way as Oregon State is going to take down Cal 30-28. Cal now on the verge after being ranked in the preseason top 25. They might actually miss out on a bowl game if they're not careful. In other news, we see Central Michigan and Iowa go final as well. Iowa winning 24-17, trying to keep pace with the Badgers. But we will also get a rare FBS versus FCS battle as Miami will be hosting the Bears of Missouri State a long way from their home. But it is what it is, though, as we'll have to try to find a way to stop Caleb Kirk, who nearly won the Heisman in his true freshman campaign. And he's trying to build off of that, has over 1,300 yards rushing on the year. But there is a wealthy bundle of weapons here in Miami, Florida. Although it's not too terribly sunny out here today, with it having a little bit of a rain earlier in the afternoon before the game start. Still a little cloudy, to be honest with you, but hey, you know, it's Miami, Florida. You already know it's going to be warm no matter what time of year it is. As we'll see the Caleb Kirk take another run up the gut. He'll find the end zone here. And we already know what time it is. Caleb Kirk just looking to pad those stats in order to improve his Heisman chances. We see what he's done so far here in the first quarter. Already have 60 yards and a touchdown, but they won't go to him here for this goal line opportunity. Instead, it's Marcus Brown who ends up making a catch. So Rodney Walker gets his second passing touchdown instead. Miami will already have a 21-0 lead. And look what they pull off. They actually pull off that shovel pass. Usually in that play, it's called an NCAA 14. Most CPU guys, they don't run it properly. It ends up being like a glorified quarterback run. But shout out to Rodney Walker for actually running it properly this time around, as Miami will end up winning 66-9 in order to remain undefeated. But now we'll have some more exciting games coming in your direction. Probably will be just a 10 closer. Number 7, LSU is going on the road in Tuscaloosa, Alabama to take on the Crimson Tide, who still reside in that top 25. Alabama recently in at number 24 in the country, but LSU, one of those contenders to possibly win the Bayou Division as well. They need this win in order to keep pace with the Razorbacks. So, opening drive for LSU. It starts with a nice run up the gut, and Mark Palmer is going to kick it to the outside. Finds the end zone, and LSU will strike first here in Tuscaloosa as LSU takes a 7-0 lead. And not only does LSU end up winning that first quarter, LSU came to play really in the entirety of this first half, right? Like, they were balling out for sure in this first half, as Corey Poe makes a big-time catch as well. Meanwhile, second and goal coming up, we see Mark Palmer find the end zone yet again. It's another score for LSU, and they're going to be up 14-0, handling the hostile environment here in the Crimson Tide homeland. Can Mark Burchard answer back, though? That's the million-dollar question. Burchard has a little bit of time, fires over to the left-hand side, but leaves it short. It is left short, and so now this could be taken back quite a ways. Will be brought down, but not before he reaches. Looks like it's about the 35-yard line. So Matt Burchard, who for some reason hasn't thrown the football too terribly much. That was only his second pass attempt. Really hurting of his Alabama team. And so down 14-0, and it's not going to get any better. LSU running it down the sideline. He has a convoy, but gets caught from behind. But Corey Poe does get a 62-yard gain on the play, and it sets up yet another red zone opportunity. One in which Mark Palmer will cash in yet again. And Mark Palmer is going to have himself a hat trick in this first half of action alone. LSU will take a 21-0 lead at the half. And it makes you wonder, is Alabama a fraudulent team right now? Down 21-0. This second half is going to have a huge role in terms of how this game goes down. Will it be a blowout, or will we have a competition on our hands? And that's a good response for Alabama. Matt Burchard able to find his footing offensively, able to find his receiver as well. And so Alabama will be only down 21-6. 6 points instead of 7 because, well, they did miss the extra point. Hopefully that doesn't kill them later, as they'll score yet again. Jamie Rogers getting another look. I believe that's his second receiving touchdown. Now we'll see, now that we are here in this fourth quarter of action, are they going to go for the 2-point conversion? And they're going for it now. They're trusting the analytics. Fourth quarter, Burchard looks over the middle and finds Josh Briggs for the 2-point conversion. And so there it is. They don't have to worry about that 2-point conversion later. And it's going to be 21-14. Burchard will drop back to pass, though, looks over to the left-hand side, and he'll find Jamie Rogers in the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. All of a sudden, the Crimson Tide are surging forward, and they're an extra point away from tying this ball game up. And you know what? They'll hit the extra point too. 21-all here late in the fourth quarter. 3 minutes left to play. Burchard with pressure all over him, and he can't escape the pocket. TJ Bowen is going to get his second sack of the ball game. And so we're now looking at a 3rd and long. Burchard dropping back. Has a not so clean pocket. Is that intercepted? No, they're calling it a fumble. I thought Matt Burchard's arm was going forward when that pass was being thrown. The officials did disagree, and now LSU in field goal position with a chance to win. However, LSU looking to run up the middle, and it's fumbled too. He doesn't slide, and so Alabama gets bailed out. They get bailed out there, and now we'll have overtime yet again. Alabama will start out with the ball here in this first overtime period as Matt Burchard gets dropped to the ground, and Matt Burchard with nowhere to go. They got a 4th and 13, and this is not an easy field goal. 45 yards in the rain. Burchard under center. He's going to kick this field goal, and it's well short. It is well short. Didn't get a good leg on it at all. And now all LSU has to do is kick this ball through the uprights, and they're going to be good. And sure enough, it is. LSU kicks the field goal through, and they will be the winners here in this rivalry game action. LSU will prevail 24-21, which means we will likely see Alabama fall outside of that top 25 once again. And so you know what that means. LSU controls their own destiny. One more studio update for this episode as we get a final from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Wisconsin barely survived as well, 13-10. But now we just have a couple of more games left in this episode in general. One of them will be a big-time game, Hawaii and Washington. Hawaii trying to remain alive for that at-large bid to the college football playoff. But before we check in on that, some quality football being played up in that northeastern part of the country. Probably the most underrated conference in college football, I would say. Some good teams here in this Northeast. Penn State certainly being one of them, but Syracuse is trying to play spoiler. They are trying to play spoiler up here in Happy Valley because after 1 quarter of playing, we still do not have a score. Nobody has scored yet in this game. It has turned to an Iowa-like Big Ten West style of football game. We'll see if that is finally broken, though, as early in the second quarter, Daniel Williams is in the shotgun. He's got some time to throw over the middle and finds the running back, Scott Tanner, who records his first receiving touchdown of his college career. But that will not be the only time that you will hear Scott Tanner's name heard, as Scott Tanner will not only get a receiving touchdown in this game, but he will also have a rushing touchdown in this game as well. Scott Tanner really maximizing the opportunities. He's got that quarterback body, but make no mistake, he is a certified running back. Good athlete, sneaky good athlete. And Penn State is, like I said, a sneaky good football team, up 21-0. A touchdown here would make it possibly 28-0 before we even get into the halftime locker room. Syracuse has no idea what to do right now, as Williams will drop back. He's going to go ahead and run it in himself, and Penn State, well, they are just going to go ahead and score yet again. Penn State scores. It looks like they are going to dominate through the remainder of this game. However, Syracuse looking to make a late push here with 5 minutes left to play in the game. Still down by 20 points as we got a 2nd and short coming up here, as the quarterback's going to drop back. He's going to look over to the left-hand side, dumps it off, and that will be a first down for the Orange. Trying to remain fresh up here in Happy Valley as we get closer to the wintertime. But the Oranges, well, they're not looking so fresh, aren't they? They might be past their expiration date, because even though they score here, they will end up being spoiled rotten by the Nittany Lions as they win another one, 34-20. So the last game that we have going on is a big-time matchup. One that was originally a regionally televised game, so I normally don't show regionally televised games. But guys, this is a top 25 matchup. I would be remiss if we did not have this matchup shown to you guys here today. It would be a great tragedy. And so we got number 9 Hawaii taking on number 15 Washington. Let's see who wants it more. Washington needing to win in order to really strengthen their position in the Northwestern Division. Hawaii trying to simply keep up with USC, where at this point the Trojans do need to lose a couple of games for Hawaii to go to the conference championship game. Oh, and also they got to win out. So not an easy time for them, as we are witnessing what we got going on with Washington. And Mike Pierre throws a pick 6. So not the start that you want after giving up an opening drive touchdown. You not only throw the interception, you also give up 6 points the other way too. That's a huge swing. And so now down 14-0, Mike Pierre needs to cook. And so he will with this read option, able to take it to the outside, breaks the tackle, breaks another one, and will be forced out of bounds eventually, but not before crossing that 45-yard line. And so we saw Mike Pierre focus up and eventually lead his guys into the end zone for a touchdown. Mike Pierre will score, and it's back to just a one-score game. But can they stop this onslaught from Washington, though? That's the million-dollar question. Washington's offense has been pretty effective today, and that will continue as Johnny Russell gets hit right on the numbers. And Scott Johnson, he doesn't get a chance to throw the ball too terribly much at all, but we saw some of his physical traits being put on full display, hitting 89 on stride, and Washington extends their lead. A very exciting first half indeed, one in which Washington will take a 21-10 lead into the halftime locker room. And here's the thing, Washington, even though he didn't get the ball to start the second half, they did force Hawaii to go 3 and out. So Washington can still pad their stats and control this game. Scott Johnson doing his thing, being very effective in that pocket. I mean, that was a messy pocket to throw from. So to be able to still throw an accurate ball just means throws like that are just way too easy. Finds Johnny Russell yet again, and Scott Johnson will be able to go ahead and declare the hat trick, and Washington is going to win convincingly. They take down Hawaii, 49-17 being your final score. And so Hawaii, after starting the year 7-0, they drop their next couple of games, and just in a span of 2 weeks, they are out of the playoff hunt, unfortunately. So now, after we got done with the Penn State-Syracuse game, we have a chance to breathe and take a look at some other games that might have fallen under the radar a little bit. How about Army, for example, taking on Air Force, part of that Commander-in-Chief series, and Air Force did not have the same magic that they did against Navy, as they will end up falling to the Army Academy 42-19. In addition, the Nebraska Cornhuskers continue to move through American Conference play as they take down Kansas State 41-21, being your final score in this ball game. They're up to number 13 in the country. As for Old Troy, they are going to remain on top of the Dixie division for right now. They easily handle Troy 52-24, as Troy just could not keep up, at least not offensively. However, Clemson finally gets some of the respect that it deserves, as while this game wasn't the most impressive, only a 10-point win versus Charlotte, Clemson is finally ranked in this top 25, even though they only have one loss here in the entire season. Speaking of teams that might deserve some respect, we might need to have a conversation about Ball State. Ball State not only beating Indiana, but destroying Indiana 37-0. Ball State is now 7-2, and they are well in the hunt to win the Hoosier Division. They can also somehow pull an upset against the Michigan Wolverines. Meanwhile, Rutgers is putting themselves in a good position in the Conference USA as they blow out Maryland 45-14. Rutgers is now going to be bowl eligible because of this. As for the Golden Gophers of Minnesota, they're also positioning themselves to be a quality candidate for one of the two at-large bids for the college football playoff. They blow out Washington State 48-10, and Minnesota is now at 8-1 on the year. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma Sooners continue to climb in the top 25 as they take care of their business against North Texas. The Sooners win 30-7 and have also officially clinched bowl eligibility. We're going to do the same thing, though, as the TCU Horned Frogs, who climb up to number 17 in the country, winning against Texas Tech 52-7. Texas Tech might be one of the sorriest programs in the country right now. Also looking to be one of the best programs in the country. How about the Rice Owls again? For the third year in a row, being undefeated, the Rice Owls win 58-31. UTSA not having a bad season either, though. They only need one more win for bowl eligibility, but Rice wants a college football playoff appearance. So this is now what your top 25 is going to look like as we move into week number 11. And at the top, or at least towards the top, we don't really see any noticeable movement this week. We're starting to get clarity on who the top dogs in the country are. However, once we get to number 10, it starts to get a little bit more interesting, though. Minnesota moves up a couple of spots. Washington moves up 4. Then we also have teams like Nebraska making a push as well. They move up 3 spots to number 13 in the entire country. Hawaii, meanwhile, Hawaii is just in a tough part of their schedule right now. They're on a 2-game losing streak right now, so that's why they're down to number 14 after just being in the top 5 a couple of weeks ago. And it doesn't get any easier. They gotta go play UCLA. Just not an easy task for the Rainbow Warriors by any means. Ohio State moves up a couple of spots, as does teams like NIU, TCU, Wisconsin, Arkansas, who had to go to overtime in order to actually beat Auburn. Then rounding out your group, you still have Utah, who just suffered their first loss of this season, but losing to Holy War is not a great look for this program. Oklahoma, West Virginia, Texas honestly should have lost to Texas A&M. How they won that game is completely beyond me. And then you have 2 newcomers. Clemson is finally in, like we talked about that earlier. And then Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech also gets a little bit of love as well. They do officially enter the top 25 for, I believe, the first time this entire season. But that will wrap up your week number 10 action here in the NCSL Dynasty as we get more clarity on who the top dogs are. However, can some of these top dogs that haven't been in this position before, can they finally break through and reach those ultimate goals? It's been a fun season here on NCAA 14, utilizing that college football revamp, and I hope that you guys been enjoying this series and just in general season number 4. If you have indeed done so, just do a couple of things for me that would really make my heart sing. Go ahead and smack that like button for me, hit that subscribe button as well if you do have to be brand new to the channel, if you enjoy the vibes, of course. And with that being said, this is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. Hoping you guys are all out there having a good one, Take care, everybody.